Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human. Uh-oh, hold on. There's a little problem here going on. All right, so hello, dear Starshines. Welcome to the Lunchtime Chats. My name is Christina with the Light Body Academy. I just got a notice on my streaming here that the post has been deleted from Facebook. So the stream will not go to Facebook. I'm so sorry. If our dear sister Nancy and or Beverly can get that message out to the folks that are waiting for the stream, for the broadcast to happen on Facebook, and give them the link for our YouTube stream, that would be very helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that, guys. All right, so dear sisters, hello, darling sisters and brothers of planet Earth. Woohoo! We made it yet another week. Hello, Vision Shanto. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Beverly. Yeah, if you can give that message over to our Rise peeps that our broadcast has been blocked on Facebook and therefore it says it's been deleted. So if you can share the link of the stream on the Facebook group, that would be great. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina. I'm an acceleration expert, and we are here to talk about topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. We have abilities, we have perceptions that are not embraced perhaps by the rest of our human family. Therefore, the challenges and the way that we see these challenges approaching are very unique to us. Okay, so we're here to talk about those challenges, and I'm here to answer questions and give feedback around certain topics and specifically ask questions. And I'm also welcome you guys to pose questions as well as we go through these topics. I do, to the best of my ability, to provide a deliberative perspective to these topics and issues that we are being presented with on a pretty regular basis these days. Yeah. Hello, dear sister Carol. Good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Vision says, what was the reason for the ban on Facebook? I have no idea. It just says in my simulcasting platform here that my Facebook stream post has been deleted. So I don't know what that means, and I don't know why. I know that recently there's been a post to the group that has been regularly fact checked, and Facebook has told me that I needed to take it off of the group, but I don't, because it's not false. What it is you guys have probably seen this. There's this really famous artistic model of a cell and the inner workings of a cell. And it is it's a painting, but also a digital creation. And the fact checkers are saying that it's fact checked as false because it's actually not a photograph of a microscopic organism. Now, nowhere in the post does it say that it's a photograph. It says that it's a photograph of a model, right? So that's why I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe that could be why they are putting restrictions on our group. Who knows? But for those of you who would like to join a community that's uncensored, where we won't get banned, I encourage you guys to check out our Telegram group called Multidimensional Human. That is on Telegram, and it's just Multidimensional Human. You're welcome to check out that group. I post things in there every so often, and of course the links to these chats, and of course there's conversations that happen in that group as well that help cultivate what these topics are that we're going to talk about. Okay. All right, so, here, hold on a second. Hello, dear Hodai. Guess what came in the mail, Hodai? Thank you, darling. So I so appreciate the little package that you sent me. I can't tell you, I can't wait to open it and start using that. So thank you, dear sister. So let's see. Vision Shanto says, it's very typical that the media to ban people that spread the truth, especially spiritual knowledge. I've also been watching your videos before. Keep it up. You're helping a lot of people. Well, thank you. Really, thank you for that. That's so helpful yes, Joanne, you found us. That's so helpful for me to hear. Because there's a lot of energy that ends up this channel's a lot of energy, and there's a lot to it, and the more that I know that it's helping you guys, the more encouraged I am to continue doing this. Because, I don't do this for the fame, glory, or money or anything like that. I do this because I truly care about us starseeds, those of us who have these unique perceptions and they have these very unique abilities. We're here for a reason, and it's not to, be born, get a job, die and pay taxes. That's not why we are here. We, the star seeds, the new paradigm visionaries, you guys as the way showers, you're here for a very specific reason. And you're here at this time of change for a very specific reason. I can only generalize what that reason may be, but the what is specific for you, only you can truly know. Okay. But in a gist, we see things differently. We perceive things in a way, and our perspective is very different than how we've been taught. We don't accept the mainstream narrative. We know that our history is a lie. We know that the God poison is a manipulation. I mean, we know these things intrinsically, and I want to be here for you guys, right? All right, dear Sister Joanne, you found us. Good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you made it. Spirit Bound says, in my humble opinion, the band censored that post because they stated that the post you are amazing can't have people realizing you're a miracle and a miracle. Yeah, right? Thanks for that. That's hilarious. Thank you. All right, darling. So let's jump to it. Okay. So there's some pretty significant things that we need to talk about. And some of this is a continuation from a couple chats ago, where someone was inquiring about ancestors, and that crossed over ancestors. They, as a starseed, they don't really see why that's something that's important for us to call on, or important resource for us, because when they look into our when they look into the ancestral energy, they see a control matrix, they see a grid of consciousness, and that a lot of those souls are actually engaged in that grid of consciousness versus actually transcending and returning back to the true light, right? That, if you guys remember that conversation that we had a few weeks ago. So I'm going to expand a little bit more on that, because we have a dear brother Starshine in our group that's really in between a rock and a hard place, and he's really wondering what the point of all this is. Why move forward? What happens if I refuse to move forward? And even if I were to die, I'm still not going to be liberated, because everything's a trap after. I mean, so he's kind of like in a really, really let's say, uncomfortable place, not feeling like there's any way to turn. So I want to talk about this a little bit further, because there's a lot of things we could be doing to cleaning this stuff up. And then I also want to address about digging your heels in and refusing to move forward in life. That is something that well, I think many of us here in this group have probably visited that place a few times, where we just did not want to get out of bed and decided not to get out of bed. And maybe that lasted for a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a few years, right? So this is something that's important for, I want to provide a perspective to you guys on that, because like it or not, the sun is going to shine, the wind is going to blow, right? And time is going to pass, whether we want to be included in that or not. Okay. So hopefully the perspective I share with you guys will be helpful. All right. And those are the main pieces that we're here to talk about. As I go through this activation process, I'm going to breeze through it pretty quickly. As I go through this process, if there's questions that come up from what I've said so far of our topics, please put them in here, and I'll be sure to come back and check. Okie dokie. All right. Oh, I have just a couple more comments before I start in. So, dear Vision Shanto says, you're spitting facts on facts. Massive respects. Thank you, darling. Happy to see you. Oh, Ella, darling, I was thinking about you this morning. We must have been connecting. Yes. I'm glad to see you here. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. I'm starting with, I'm going to start with the axis. I know I don't always do that, but for this particular talk, I'm going to. So making sure that we're staying on our screen. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So for those of you who are new to the chats, this is a new cosmology introduced to the human collective via a Palladian consciousness that has a simultaneous incarnation here on the planet Earth. And that is Barbara Hand Clow, who is a trained Cherokee record keeper, initiated Mayan elder, and very, very prolific author. She writes a lot about astrology and cosmology, stuff like this. There's lots and lots of topics that she's very well versed on. And this is something that she brought through. It kind of came on as a download, but has always been a part of her that she brought through in the 90s. And she was calling this Pleiadian consciousness Satya, but it was actually an aspect of her that was having a parallel life on a planet in the Pleiades star system. Okay, so those of you who know me know that I'm not really a fan of channeled material, but when I ran across this way back in the 90s, I knew that there was something about this. It was like extremely activating, and it came into my life at a time where my entire life was shooken up and turned upside down. I had to quit a very, very good paying job because I was pregnant and had a lot of morning sickness, and I just couldn't function. And it's like my whole life was getting switched around. And at the time, my mom was terminally ill. There was a lot of stuff going on. So because I was so sick, I needed to fill my time. So simultaneously, when all this was going on, the Pleiadian agenda ended up dropping in my lap, and I started reading that. And it was so difficult to tune into the frequency that I had to read like every single paragraph like 5-6 times just to understand what, a little bit of what she was trying to say. So this body of work has been getting, digested and worked for many, 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 many years. So now it's to the point where I can just present this to you guys in just a few minutes, when before it would take many days to be able to get through all these different layers with you staying conscious, right? Because the other thing that would happen is I would go to these trainings with her, which she did this every year in Lilydale, New York. It's upstate New York. It's a community founded in the Victorian era, and it's all psychic mediums only. It's a gated community, and you have to be a psychic medium to own property and to live on that property. So every year we would go there and do this training with her. And there were, it was really difficult at first. People would fall over, people would pass out, people would bust out in rage, right? All because of this information, this understanding that she was not just talking about, but transmitting energetically, was hitting our sense of reality, our programming and our implants and all this stuff so strongly, we would have these really volatile reactions. And she's not the only one that had this experience. For those of you who are Drunvalo fans, right? When he came out with his new work, not the synthetic Merkaba meditation, but the natural Merkaba meditation with the awakened heart work, when he started doing those workshops, he would be pouncing on these frequencies, and people would explode in anger and not come back, And he, of course, figured out his own kind of workaround on how to help, manage consciousness. So this body of work is presentable now because so many people in the collective have digested it. So many people in the collective have integrated into the human experience. So now it's possible. This is important for us to remember, because there's a lot of talk about disclosure going on, and people guesstimating like what the disclosure is going to look like. And what I need to tell you guys is that until the collective can actually handle it, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even if our government wants it to happen, it's not going to happen until those veils are opened enough where people can get the information and not have a psychotic break, not like completely flip out. Okay. So if like a giant mothership came and parked above your city, a lot of people would not see it because they can't. They're programming all the different belief systems, all this stuff happening in this 4D field is so thick, they'll lose consciousness before they will actually see the UFO that's sitting in front of them. This similar phenomena also happened, they talked about with the ships of the conquistadors coming to the shores of South America. The common people didn't see them. The first one of their community to see those ships and recognize that something was there were their shamans. Okay, because their shamans have been bred through lineage and trained grandmother to granddaughter, or grandfather to grandson, or whatever that lineage, how they pass it on. They were trained to maintain awareness of the unknown. So all those little blocks, I say little, all these blocks and programmings and stuff that were going on didn't hinder their perceptions as much as the average human. This is a cue on how long those control systems been going on in our reality. It's not just the past 100 years, folks, or even 2,000 years. It goes way, 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 way beyond that. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be scary. I'm saying that so you guys can get a perspective of just how deeply the inception of our consciousness goes. It's very, very deep. All right. So just a little bit about this axis. So at the base of this axis, this is the core of the earth. This is the Pachamama, the Mother Earth, the consciousness that is this planet. And we have, all of us, all life, seen and unseen, human and not human, have an agreement to come here, be with her, and incarnate within her dream. Pachamama is Quechua for realm of the mother. It's literally Pacha, realm, mama, of mother, right? They're very clear about that. So this is the realm of the mother that we exist on. And we are here because we agreed on some level, on a soul level, to incarnate within her realm, AKA her dream. So we are within her dream. We are dreaming our dreams within her dreams. Okay. So we're inside nesting dolls, inside of nesting dolls. Okay. All of us are flying through the cosmos at hundreds of millions of kilometers a minute, right? That's yet another nesting doll of reality, of dream time that we are in. So we are like within a dream, within a dream, within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. Okay. This is why waking up out of the matrix, only if it could be so simple as taking the red pill. If only it could be that way. All right. So moving up from the core of the earth, that dream. So what helps actuate this dream to actually create this reality that we're walking around now? That is the telluric realm. That's elementals. That's devas of the lands. That's nature spirits. That's crystal consciousness. That's the microbes. That's the bacteria and viruses. All the little microbial life. Our body has trillions of microbial life within us, right? We have all kinds of bacteria and fungus and viruses, and you name it. We're an ecosystem inside of our body. And this is all possible because of the telluric realm intelligence that makes up that's the foundation of this reality that we see with our eyes when we look around us. And then we have our 3D space, which is, of course, that experience of space. So I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this beautiful giant black walnut tree. In 3D, we are separate. But as soon as I go into the energetic and start resonating with the energy of this tree, we are instantly connected. And there is no space. And that's the same for you and I, if we were to do that. This is the same for me and the Pleiadian star consciousness. That's the same with me and the sun. That's the same of me and the moon. Okay. I'm saying me because, I'm looking from my eyes, from my perspective, in connection with all these things. Now, how many of you guys over the years, maybe you did some full moon ceremonies, did you ever sit in silence and just connect with the light of the moon that's shining on you? Okay, ever do that? Now, I did an experiment. I remember one time that I was reading that there's gold in our pineal gland, and that when the moon is full, it enhances the resonant frequency of the gold in the pineal gland. And I was like, that's interesting. So the next time there was a full moon, I sat outside in silence, and I just kind of had this, all of a sudden I just became aware of like the beams of light. They actually, they kind of had a feeling like I could hit the edges of them. I could feel them going beyond me. I could feel certain ones go through me. So I decided to catch some into my third eye, into my pineal gland. And as soon as I decided to catch some of those rays of light within my pineal gland, and I moved my head like this, it actually felt like there was a rod between the moon and I, as if we were in one time space. And as I moved, the whole thing moved with me. Okay. So this idea of space that we have, it's only a reality in this 3D. As soon as we go into other dimensions of reality, when I say other, I don't mean that these dimensions don't exist inside this 3D. It does. It's just that I make a purposeful shift to focus on frequencies that are more dominantly in, say, the 4D realm, or more dominantly in the fifth realm, right? So when I do that with my intention, all of a sudden the rules are different, and reality is just very different than how it was, how I perceived it before. So this whole idea of space is very unique to the 3D experience. As soon as you go into these other realms, there's no space anymore, right? So when we look out at the night sky and we see all these stars, science tells us that they're hundreds of light years away. I think the closest star, according to science, to our solar system is Sirius, right? And that's, several thousand light years away, I believe. Now, when we look at that energy, that consciousness with 3D being the primary part of reality, yeah, that's like, light years away. But you can sit and meditate and call on your different guides or aspects of you maybe that actually exist in that star system, and you can come into a sympathetic alignment, and boom, you guys are talking. Through the stellar networks, you're now having a conversation. You can download ideas back and forth, right? People do this all the time. They call it channeling. So there's a lot more to reality than what typical human science tells us. When you get to quantum physics, of course, they're getting much closer to it, but our typical, what we call science these days that you learn in a science classroom in high school or whatever, they haven't integrated the leaps and bounds of what quantum mechanics has brought into the playing field. Because if they do, that means every system that we have on this planet needs to get retooled. Our medical system, right? Especially. All right. Let me keep going. So 3D is that space. 4D is our collective field. It's the collective conscious. So we have a collective, Jung called it the collective subconscious. Okay. But there's also, so there's what we're aware of and there's what we're not aware of. And then there's stuff in our collective field that maybe we've never really engaged with, but is influencing us on a subconscious level. And that could be belief systems that grandparents that we had 3 generations back, or great grandparents, or someone way back during the mystery schools. I mean, everything that's happened in our lineage has an impact in our here and now DNA dance. And a lot of this is tied into that 4D field. The 4D field is polluted with lots of things. And even though it's heavily polluted, guys, it's cleaner than it's ever been. Believe it or not, the 4D field is cleaner than it has ever been in many, many thousands of years, which is, you might find that shocking. But that's why I can introduce stuff like this, is because there's a lot less density in this 4D field. Now, there's a lot of current drama happening, and that's to distract us from being calm and quiet within ourselves. Because as soon as you sit outside and under the night sky, calm and quiet and at peace, wow, you'll notice that there's massive resources within that weren't there before that you have access to. So, they really want to keep humanity distracted from these openings that are happening. These openings are happening inside of humans, right? Okay, so the 4D field, belief systems, programmings, there's a lot of technology in there. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Implants also can fall in here. You could have mental body implants, emotional body implants. You can have initiations that exist primarily within the 4D field. We have belief systems, blah, blah, blah. You guys know about 4D field. All right, the 5D, which is the aperture of the heart space. This is the doorway into infinity. This is your doorway out of linear time and into a more cyclical, circular type of time. Okay, in the 5D, you can heal your present by traveling to the past and healing the past. Okay, in 5D, you can heal your present by reclaiming energies lost up in the future that's not in the here and now, right? In 5D, you can liberate your ancestors that have been captured by the false light in the past, right? So this 5D, pretty much, this is the gateway into the infinite possibilities. Nothing is impossible in this level. nothing, right? So, so it's really important for us to open up our belief systems enough to actually engage with 5D frequencies. We can do a lot of healing. We can be a benefit to a lot of humans beyond just our own, and help them in working within this field. All right, so our 5D field is that endless, joyful creativity in the moment. It's the thirst for the now. It's this kind of thing. And it's also the records of everything that we've experienced in all of our soul's journeys. So it could be soul's journeys as humans, as non-humans, parallel realities, and so on, right? So the rules are very, very different. And how we perceive who we are is very, very different. 4D field is all about who you think you are when you look in the mirror. 5D field, it's all about who you are as an infinite being on an endless soul's journey. Okay, when you put yourself in that kind of perspective, all of a sudden these narratives about these different ET races and their engagement with humanity don't seem very far-fetched. All of a sudden you might even have memories of you being one of those ETs having engagements with the humans, right? The earthly humans, or maybe some other kind of human, right? So yeah, really profound gateway for us to step through in our consciousness. Then the structure that maps out those timelines, those lifetimes, those incarnational experiences is found in the 6D field, and that is your light body. So 6D is the morphogenic field from which things emerge out of. So the map of your consciousness is your light body, and it's not just this lifetime, it's many lifetimes. It's your journey through this Milky Way galaxy, because that's how the reality is set up. That's how the nesting dolls of reality is set up in this galaxy. So this map, you change something in this map, you change the different lifetimes you explore. You heal things. You change things in this map, you change the different kinds of subsequent agreements and promises and blah, 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 the constructs of past lives. Therefore, you change who you are in this level too, right? Then you change your DNA dance. So healing at this level is profound. You can actually catch diseases before they ever come to the physical body. You can catch it on a blueprint level, as well as fragmentation stories, tragic events, stuff like this. You can switch things around in that light body 6D level, and then that incident never needs to manifest in 3D. Okay. So platonic solids also fall in here. People who are friends with Metatron, or fans of the Metatron cube technology would be in here as well. So on and so forth. All right, and then we have our frequencies. This is the 7D, our tone, our intent for being separate from source, and that tone is what creates that light body. So you can actually reach your soul song, reach your core tone, go back into source, come back out with added tones, with added thoughts, right? So then you can modify your light body that way. All right, then we have our all that is consciousness. This is how we experience isness. This is also where a lot of people are channeling the Galactic Federation, the Intergalactic Federation, stuff like this. It's also the fabric of isness that weaves through all things. So and when you realize that you are a part of everything, then that means I mean beyond an anecdotal level, like you truly feel and see the reality on how everything that happens has an impact in your experience. So a tree falling over has an impact. Butterflies off in Brazil, that even though they're way off there, they have an impact in our here and now. There's all sorts of connections. What we do to nature, we do to ourselves. And this is, once we accept that all these other people around us are also aspects of us as well, then we can let go of some of this programming that we're taught about behavior, society, and all these different political, all this rhetoric and crap like that. We drop that like a hot potato, because when you wake up to this, you recognize there's a very high level of ethics required to inform us on how to behave with our environment, how to behave with each other, how to behave with exospecies, you see what I'm saying? How to behave and treat the life that we're engaged with that's around us. When we wake up to who we are on that level, that's the kind of calling that starts to come into our awareness. We start searching for and behaving accordingly to another different level of ethics. It's not morality, it's ethics. Morality changes with the season, changes with the day. You know, back in the biblical times, it was completely acceptable to have slaves. It was completely acceptable to have sex with children. It was completely acceptable to beat your slaves as long as you didn't render them incapacitated and you couldn't, or hurt them to the degree where you couldn't take care of them, right? Now, if you just dumped them in the back of your yard or waited for them to die and dispose of the body, that's fine. But as soon as you left them in the street and you made it the Romans' problem, then it was not okay, right? You see what I mean? Morals are subjective to the consciousness of the day. Ethics do not change. They stay the same no matter what era, no matter what culture, no matter what species you're born to. These ethics do not change. And this is why it's so important for us to recognize proper behavior when we're channeling beings, or when we're having communications with exospecies, or we're having communications with nature spirits. Once we have this level of ethic really integrated, it's something that something that can help accelerate our consciousness. But until these higher levels of ethics become integrated, we have a very difficult time on how to properly orientate ourselves to these beings in a way that isn't disempowering, right? So, like, for example, people who communicate with angels. So what I've learned from different angel consciousness is that because there's this belief system humans have about angels, there's like this pedestal, and so people kind of like, they orientate themselves like this to an angel, and when that happens, there's only so much consciousness understanding that can be conveyed. But when you're like this with them, then you're cooking with some real grease. They can give you some profound teachings and insights because you're understanding it at a different level. You're activating yourself in a different level. Okay. It has to be an equal. As soon as it gets to be something like this, then the data is getting distorted in some way by our lens, our belief systems. All right, keep going. And then we have our center of the Milky Way galaxy. Some people might call this the black hole, or the central sun, or just the center of the Milky Way, or the entire plane of the Milky Way galaxy, as the whole plane is a consciousness, a Godhead, if you will. And each of these dimensions have keepers that maintain the integrity. Okay, for example, humans are considered the keepers of our 3D existence. Now, we haven't done a very good job maintaining the integrity of our 3D field because, the infiltration and all that. But, I believe that humanity can rise to their true humanity and take up that custodialship once again. Really be responsible for how our elementals are used to create things. Really be responsible for how belief systems impact other life in this 3D reality. Okay, so there's keepers for each of these. Those of you who have been around for a while, I'm not going to get into the keepers right now because I don't have time to go down that road. But there are other chats where I've gone down that road in the keepers. Actually, I do have to say there is a free training that I have on our website called Multidimensional Sovereignty Secrets. In that's an 8-hour dive into these teachings, and it's free. You just need to subscribe. And in that, I go into the keepers, I go into the encodements for activating each of those lenses. I go into some practices, like practical world engagements that you do to help cultivate your lenses and your abilities to perceive and discern and all that. So you guys can check that out at lightbodyacademy.com. That's where you'll find it. And then, then moving on to the next. All right, I'm going to get to those comments right now. Let me just do this last thing because this is where the rubber meets the road pretty much. All right, so iron crystal core, telluric realm, 3D space. All right, and this is that 4D canopy. What is most important for us to recognize is that this 4D canopy, and this is for every single person that works with energy, every single person that channels, that communicates psychically, that engages with other beings via those data streams. Every single data set you get gets filtered by this 4D field without exception. Every frequency you get gets filtered. It gets filtered by your belief systems, both conscious and not. So it could be an inherited belief system that that maybe something that was alive in your family for generations before you came around. That is influencing your lens. Okay, even if you decide that you completely forsake all the belief systems of your parents and grandparents, and you decide to do the exact opposite, right? You doing the exact opposite is also an expression of those beliefs. Okay, because this field is polarized. It's polarized. It's negative and positive. It's left, it's right, it's up, it's down, it's black, it's white, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as you decide to do exact opposite of how you were raised, you're still in the polarity game. Okay, you're still playing the polarity game. Therefore, all that stuff still has charge on a deep subconscious level. That means all that stuff is still influencing the quality of the experience you're having with your senses. Okay. All right, let me get to these comments here. All right, so la 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 la. All right. Yay, Gina made it. She found us. There we go. All right, then Vision Shanto says you can connect your awareness wherever you want, and once you master the touch of pineal, you can anchor it within whatever. This is how I embed myself to the moon. Wow, fascinating. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be embedded to the moon. That's my personal preference. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you like, or what you consider the benefits of that is. Actually, I'm sure everybody in this conversation would be interested to hear what you consider the benefits are of that. All right. Neon Spiritbound says, yes, the night sky is something I love to stare at, and the moon has a strange, haunting beauty to it. Yes. Have you guys noticed the second moon lately? I posted an article a while back where even NASA was talking about a second moon. I had to post that on my main profile because I was just like, I just wanted to freak out all the normies, thinking that was just crazy talk. All right. Oh, yay, Polly. Yep, you made it. And Joanne says, closest star is Alpha Centauri's, which is 4.5 light years away. Okay, so I'm wrong. It's not Sirius. It's Alpha Centauri's. And then Polly says, yeah, yep, good to see you here, darling. All right. And then Joanne says, Sirius is 6.8 light years away. Thank you for putting those numbers into perspective. All right. Then Spirit says, you're in good company at Polly. Flip a coin, and if it lands heads, it's all day. I'll be late too. Okay. In my humble opinion, we need to redefine morals and ethics, because the waters of meaning are so muddy that it seems like we all agree on the concept but argue over the language. Sure. Morals, man-made code of conduct, agreed upon by society. Ethics, symbolic driven instructions on how to operate and navigate in a manner that is in and with the flow of life. Oh, I like that. Yes, I like that. All right. Miracle. Hello, Miracle. Love your handle. Okay. It's Shanto on another account. All right. When you moon gaze, you feel a touch of psychic abilities enhanced. Oh, okay. Okay. So you're doing the anchoring to enhance your psychic intuitive abilities, specifically probably your psychic abilities associated with the pineal gland. I imagine this is what you're saying. Okay. All righty. All right. So let's get to these pieces here about this afterlife thing, right? 4D, or 5D. Okay, so let me just give a little bit more clarity about this lens, okay? We are vast, infinite beings in a biosuit. Our biosuit can, all right, these things over here is 8D and 9D. It's a little bit off the camera. Our biosuit can only contain a small fraction of our infinite nature. Okay, there's only so much that it can contain. And this is important because of our DNA dance. Our DNA dance can only accommodate so much consciousness. And once we activate DNA or untangle, shut down DNA so it can move in the way that it's meant to, then we can house more quantum within our physical bodies. The more quantum you house, right, the more momentum and life force you have to your access. Okay. Now, when it comes to the ancestry question, what we do is that, yes, many of our ancestors have been hijacked by false light. That is the truth. And also the bones, what happens to the bones of the ancestors also impacts the quality of the DNA. That's the quality of the DNA passed down to future generations, but also the quality of your own path. So in the sense of maybe you came to a particular family 5 or 6 times within a millennia, right? So maybe the first couple times everything went great. You got in and out real clean, and the times after that it was super messy. Now every time you come back to reincarnate, that past that was messy, where you lost life force energy, impacts your consciousness in the here and now body, even if it's different DNA. Okay, so there's the DNA dance, and then there's the consciousness that's imbuing the DNA dance. These are 2 rivers of light, flows of life force energy that come in to create our here and now moment. So the reason why you do want to connect with your ancestors is not only to heal that connection and open the aperture so you can have a flow of much more life force energy coming to you from the here and now via that love connection, but you also liberate your ancestors that are caught in this matrix. Okay, you are liberating the ancestors, your great grandmother, your great 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 grandparents, so on and so forth. You're liberating them out of that matrix that they're caught. And as soon as they wake up out of that, your own DNA dance benefits. Your own DNA dance enhances, awakens a little bit more. So the more ancestral work you do, the more that they benefit, you benefit, and future generations benefit. And that's because the DNA dance can now be its capacity has heightened on how much quantum it can embody. Okay, and this is what we want. This is what the Great Awakening is all about. It's about enhancing the level of quantum we can contain and actuate in our lives, so we can take action from that part of our being versus taking action out of our programming, right? Most humans are taking action out of their programming. I'm sorry. Most humans are just existing. How many are truly living? How many? Think about the people in your life. Who's truly living their life versus who's maintaining? Who's just getting by running the program, hoping that it'll make them happy one day, right? Okay. So I'm not saying that to pass judgment. I'm saying that to give perspective. Really, the more quantum we have within us, the more passionate we are to be here. The less quantum we have, the less energy we have to be here, and the less that we want to be here. Okay. So the level of disconnect that we're experiencing inside of ourselves is equal to the level of disconnect that we have with our outer world. Okay. All right, dear Gina says, the moon is one of my spirit animals, being a Cancerian. Okay, one of her primary planets. She is my ruling planet. She talks to me at all phases, and she was my only light while climbing Adam's Peak in Sri Lanka. Wow, very cool. Yes, there's a lot of mysteries around the moon, but I do have to. I'll just mention it because I've talked about the inception of consciousness a long time. The moon's not a natural body. It was built and it was put there. And it was put there to manage the forgotten aspects of ourselves. We were fragmenting in our consciousness. And so to minimize, some parts of that narrative is to minimize the damage. So it's like we don't completely lose capacity. The moon was put in place to help manage the subconscious, right? In the managing of the subconscious, though, if it's just left to the purity of the Pachamama in the sun, in the infinite nature of the true light universe, it would all be great. But the fact is, there's other beings that have other agendas that have hijacked that particular maintenance, that maintenance vehicle, and there's a lot that goes on the moon that people don't realize. I mean, a lot that goes on the moon that people don't realize. All right, dear. Then it goes on. Other times I have just stepped out of my party or dinner, and she called to say it's time to go home. I've learned to listen. Yes. So what's really important about this is that you're waking up your abilities to the invisible and unseen. That's where the big gift is. What I'm going to say is that listening to cues, being aware, being present is super important. But know that nobody is the boss of you, okay? And it may not actually be the moon. It may be your own higher self, subconscious, communicating to you via the doorways the moon has opened. Okay, so I just say this so we don't give authority to any being. It's really important not to give authority of any being over you. And I don't mean your ego driver you. I'm talking about your soul level you and the choices that you make and the reasons why you do things. It really needs to come from that authentic place of truth and sovereignty, versus when we start giving power to these other things, then that leaves us susceptible for being misled in different ways, which has happened and does happen very, 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 very often. Okay. Wait, who built it? Yeah, so we've had several versions of the moon. The most recent one was built by the ant people and brought in by the Pleiadians. So, and that, yeah, giving the history of the Pleiadian model, that's all right. So the Pleiadians like shortcuts, and I have a resonance with Pleiadians too, and I have lots and lots of memories, connections with Pleiadians, and they have a long history on this planet with the indigenous life and in mystery schools and stuff on this planet. So take what I'm about to say about the Pleiadians with a grain of salt. But the Pleiadians were into shortcuts. And when it comes to the very complex dynamics of this planet in the larger scheme, there's been a lot of arm wrestling over who gets to be in charge of, who gets to reap the crops of this planet. And the reaping of the crops is life force energy in many, many, many forms. Okay. So the Pleiadians, some of them are for the power over dynamics, some of them are not. It's kind of 50-50. So the ones that are here in a benevolent capacity have been here for a very long time, very, very long time. And they sincerely love humanity, and they have a lot of their own people here, right? To try to do what they can to open up the DNA dance so more of our quantum can be embodied. But then there's another kind of Pleiadian that is in the agenda of the power over dynamics, because they were promised a certain amount of the quantum that gets reaped from this planet. So so there you go, the Pleiadian drama. All right, so let's see. I've heard not everyone is chosen to wake up to the state that we are in. When someone is not truly living up to what their purpose is, that is also meant to be. Sure. Yeah, so not a long time. Well, all right, I guess it was a long time ago. To me, it feels like just a few years, but I think it was like maybe 10 years ago, a little less. I had a collective of beings. I was working in a group kind of healing kind of scenario, and these beings came in and they were giving us information about the collective, because we were asking questions like that. And what they said was that 20% at that time, 20% of the people on the planet were starseeds, and they said of that 20%, only 20% of those were going to awaken. Okay, so some of this is a little bit of a crapshoot. Because we have soul groups who are part of the control system, part of the overpower dynamic kind of thing, that get here, then all of a sudden discover God and want, and spend their whole life being a benefit towards the goodness of humanity. Right. So coming here is a crapshoot for those who are in the power over and those who are in the liberation. It's a crapshoot for all parties involved. So you really don't know what someone's going to do with their when they start developing an ego driver. Now you have choices, certain choice points that have been already where the choice has already been made, and you're just there to experience it. That's true. That absolutely does happen. But there's kind of like, in order for certain openings to happen within the soul's journey, there's like certain marks that need to get hit, you know? So for example, like say, you know, you have 5 different star seeds. They're saying 20% will wake up. So that's like, you know, one of them will wake up, and the other ones could possibly wake up, but are likely not, because of the kind of energy they have stacked against them, and, you know, the level of constructs they have to deal with in their soul's journey that keeps them blind. But say a miracle happens, say all of a sudden they fall in love and they make a decision that is completely, you know, you know, perpendicular to the trajectory, right? So that, you know, some stuff like that can actually activate latent agreements. So now, because they did such an extreme plot twist, so to speak, in their life's journey, now all of a sudden they're on the docket to possibly waking up. They're, you know what I mean? They changed the course of their destiny. And that's really what destiny is. If every single one of these people of star seeds were taught in a way to go after the truth, to go after their purpose, go after pursuing happiness and fulfillment, all of them would wake up. But because the programming in the 5D, the 4D field is in such a way, it's like, it's not likely, because there's all this other false stuff going on that's a distraction. So I guess I'm giving you an exception to that kind of thinking. I know that when I came, I was fighting tooth and nail. I did not want to come. I even facilitated my mom's attempted suicide, you know, as an unborn child. So it was like, you know, I came, I came kicking and screaming. I did not want to be here. It was like, but that was because of the fragmentation that happens in this 4D field. When we have a lot of soul loss from incarnating here a lot, we, you know, the quantum of us that is conducive to a biosuit, you know, remembers these via the Akashic and stuff, remembers these past times slivering off. And somewhere along the line, and I suspect it was the last time that I died, I came to the conclusion, I swore to myself I would never come again until after the awakening, you know. But that was made with a little bit of my quantum. Yes, it had an impact, because it was a swearing to myself, but the bigger aspect of me didn't agree and didn't have that going on. So this is how you get that perception of people forcing to incarnate, because these parts are fragmented and they never make it home. And if they do make it home, that's great, because then they become reinformed with the all that is, you know what I mean? And they can start formulating or just being in a different space, and then they can come up with a completely unique, graceful intent to reincarnate. But those that come up and stay in this grid work lattice, right, in the upper echelons of that 4D field, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I encourage you guys to watch that movie with with that comedian, now I can't remember, Tomorrow Will Never Come. No. It's the one where his Robin Williams plays the character. His wife kills himself, and then he goes into the afterlife to go and catch her, go and find her. That movie is exactly what I'm talking about. People are not actually crossing over back to their quantum. They're crossing over and staying in this grid work, and they think that that's the afterlife, but it's actually not. It's just a segue that was built, that was put there. So anyway, so when there's a lot of our particles or quantum in the segue areas or in the underworlds or whatever, you know, there's a lot of back of past stuff that encourages us to not want to come back again. But once we get all that past stuff and reconsolidate, which is many of us we're doing now, massive soul retrievals on, you know, through many generations, right? and then we become more consolidated within our DNA dance. And now those kinds of aversions to life don't exist anymore because we've reclaimed and reconsolidated ourselves, and we have perspective. So when you have a soul loss, it creates a record, and there's a promise, there's an agreement, there's a contract, there's something that's holding that in place. And as soon as that structure gets addressed and that quantum returned, then that part that is informing your subconscious is no longer there. So you no longer have that accumulated belief. So hopefully I'm making sense to you guys about this working with the afterlife. It's really, really, really potent for us humans right now during this time of transition. So here's the thing. Life has to move forward. We may not want to. We may hate every moment of it. But there's some reason, there's something inside of us that we're not, if we're feeling like we don't want to, but it's happening anyway, there's something inside of us that we are disconnected from, that we're not aware of, probably because all the noise here, right? All the distraction, noise, and pain that's here, that keeps us disconnected about all this. And it's, as soon as we reconnect with that part of ourselves that actually wants to be here and the reason why, right? Then we can start to shift out of that I don't want to be here mode anymore. And because the kind of connectivity you have within is shown out here like this. It's really difficult to say, here, let me say this a different way. Trying to find a way in to be able to address it where it can be heard specifically by dear brother Starshine in the way I want to say this here. So we are creatures of habit. Okay. We do things that we're used to doing. We only have so much willpower to work with to change our lives. All right. And if you focus all that willpower on fighting the system or fighting something, then you're draining all of your own capacity to make a change inside of you in your here and now for your here and now. Okay. So the best advice, practical advice I can give is start cultivating, refocusing your will to cultivating habits that help you feel good, habits that bring you a great feeling. Okay. Maybe that habit is going for a walk in the woods, meditating in the woods, or feeding animals, or picking up strays, or, you know what I mean? Whatever that habit is, cultivate the habit until it becomes a habit. Then you reallocate that willpower to another area of your life where you start using your willpower to create another kind of habit. And when you do this for 6 months, you're going to have habits put in place that feed you, that feed your soul, that feed your intellectual needs, that feed, mind food, emotion food, stuff like this. And now you have a habit of resourcing. And in that resourcing, you start to get ideas that you want to express and create and do things. But until you're properly resourced, you can't ask yourself what you want to create or what kind of level of humanity you're ready to rise to, because you're in a depleted state. So figure out where you can exercise a little bit of will to create a habit, create that habit. And once it's ingrained, it takes 3 months, create the habit, and then use another little nugget of that willpower to create another habit. Do this and then see how you're feeling. And if you're feeling nourished and complete, full, then great. You know that you chose habits that are fulfilling needs that you have as a human. Okay. If after that time you're still in a downward spiral as far as everything sucks and all this stuff, I'm going to say that what you think you need is not really what you need. Okay. Which means the disconnect goes very, very deep, where you've completely disconnected from actually what you need to properly operate your biosuit in this realm. Okay. And actually, a lot of humans fall into that category. A lot of humans ignore their needs completely. And you ask any one of them what they want to be when they grow up, so to speak, right? Most of them are going to tell you they have no idea. So that's where you start. Use your willpower to cultivate some habits that feed you, where you feel nourished and full, and then you can start building yourself up, and then you can start imagining how you want to exist and how you can benefit humanity. Start off small. That's all. Start off real small. If how you benefit humanity is by keeping the wildlife in a particular area healthy and strong, that's great. Do that. Be a caretaker of those lands. Be a caretaker of those trees. Be a caretaker of the nesting birds or whatever. That gives you joy. Do it. Okay? Do it. And then there'll be more. There'll always be more. Okay? So us in our highest form is us building a dream. We have a dream and we are focusing some action, some practical doing in that direction. And the dream is so vast, is so grand. The dream that we're working towards is so grand and so beautiful that it's something that we know we will never see in our lifetimes. But yet we do it with passion all the same. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. That's the name. What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. Thank you, Neo, Spirit-bound Neo. I appreciate that. Yes. Watch that movie. That's that false light reality right there that they show. They really knew what they were doing in that movie. Okay. So, boy, time is flying by. There we go. So let me just do a couple more of these comments and then I'll wrap up for today. All right, so Miracle says, do you have any book recommendations in terms of what you're talking about, or is it only those websites you handed out? I've saved the website and we'll check them. Okay, if you're talking about the moon thing. Oh, you know what? All right. Well, all right. So what I know about the moon, that's indigenous lore. Okay. So there are indigenous record keepers from many tribes that are now sharing information with people who are not initiated. And so unfortunately, this was an oral thing that I just shared with you. I don't think it's written down anywhere, but I do know of a man who I'm a huge fan of. And take it all with a grain of salt because it's kind of hard to deal with all of it at first. But I love his work, and I plug him all the time just because I have so much respect for him. And that is George Kavasilis. He's a bald guy. Well, I don't know how else to describe him. He's a Greek bald guy. I know that describes almost all Greek guys, but anyway, but he's really been at that cutting edge of the new paradigm, and he has worked something called waking up out of the God matrix. So he has put things into words. Now I love him. I'm a huge fan, but do know that when I listen to the stuff, I'm about like 70% on board. So it's not 100. So when I refer to things, I'm referring to things because it's something I've been able to engage with, and by using my own compass, come to the truth of what's in that body of work. You know what I mean? So there's plenty of people who I listen to that I really get a lot out of, but I know there's a lot of discernment required in listening. One of the other people, actually, I have another person that you can check out, and he has so many things online right now. His name is Dan Winters. Dan Winters, that's another one. Now, Dan Winters is talking about black hole technology, which you guys, we've talked about before, which is manipulation, but it's golden. The work that he does is absolutely golden. And I encourage, if you want to dive into that, he has lots of stuff about galactic history too. Thanks for the name. What was the name again? George what? Yeah. Kavasilis. Yeah. Let's sound that out. Actually, if Gina is here, she's in that community. Maybe she can point him out. All right. Oh no, this is Gina. Oh, different Gina. Sorry, Gina. Anyway, yeah, Kavasilis. Starts with a K. All right. So, yeah, where am I going to with that? Yeah. So that's what I can recommend to check out that information. All right. So let me go on with the rest of these comments and then I'll wrap up. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So Joanne says, yes, the challenge seems to be making the hard choices, which opens the new territory, leading to a larger perspective for living, moving out of the easy, repetitive cycles. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So this is the thought. That I'm going to leave you guys with. Okay. And this is about destiny versus fate, right? What she's talking about, the easy, repetitive cycle, the predictable life. Those that gravitate towards the predictable are those who really enjoy being on first class on a jumbo jet. Okay. A jumbo jet, imagine a jumbo jet flying through time, riding in first class. Everything's comfortable. You get hot towels, champagne when you want it. The food is great. The service is great. You have an idea of where you're going. Yeah, maybe you can turn your trajectory to a little bit to the east, to the north, to the south, whatever, right? You can go up and down. So you can make the arc wider, land a little further away, make the arc shorter, land a little bit closer. But in general, there's a pretty much predictable region on where that jumbo jet, hence your life traveling through time, can land. Okay? That is called fate, my friends. Going with the program, going with what's expected, and just hitting the program like that. Now, you guys, me, you, those of us who are like us, we have a different option. We understand that, first class is great, but where's the party? Where's the fun? Where's the brand newness? Where's the excitement? Where's the passion, right? Where is the joy? Where in first class does my soul smile? Where? Does it matter if I get up out of bed when I'm sitting in first class? Not really. Maybe, you can miss a few days, no big deal. You can miss a few years, no big deal. You ever see the movie Remote, right? Okay. So, but those of us with our abilities and our perceptions, we have that option to fly through time, to navigate our lives and fly through time full on engaged, right? So that means we're flying through our life, not on a jumbo jet, but driving a helicopter, flying a helicopter. I don't know if you've ever seen a helicopter pilot. My dad was a helicopter pilot in the military for, 50 years. So, but if you ever seen those choppers, they are steering not just with the stick, they're steering with their feet. Okay, they have all these different controls that they're navigating with, right? And then there's the stick. So they are fully engaged with their feet and the stick and navigate and using all these controls. So it's a full time. It's a real full on engaged experience. That's us because we have our abilities that we have. So that means we're traveling through our lives on that Apache helicopter, which means we can go up, we can go down, we can go left, we can go right, we can go back. We have so much maneuverability. Our trajectory isn't some predictable arc like that. Our trajectory could be like this because we feel like it. Okay. Now that kind of autonomy and freedom at first is terrifying because you're responsible for every movement that you make. But once you get over that and recognize the level of freedom and autonomy that comes to that terror quickly turns into excitement and passion. And that means when you get up out of bed, you can't wait to get out of bed. Because holy crap, what's going to happen today? What am I going to be facing today? What am I doing today? What kind of, you know what I mean? Today brings so many things out of the unknown into the moment. It's exhilarating. That is what autonomy looks like. That is destiny, my friends. That is what destiny is. So I'll leave you with that. What is your destiny? Where do you want to fly that Apache helicopter? How engaged do you want to become with your life? How engaged are you willing to become with your life? And what kind of destiny can you create? Well, I'm here to tell you that humanity needs you more than you realize. All of us. We need each other, but also the humanity at large needs us more than they realize. All right, darlings. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Thank you, Joanne. Those of you looking for the spelling of Costless, it's right here in Joanne's comment. All right. For those of you who are interested in diving into the work that we do at the Academy, we have a program called the Quantum Reality Shift. This is where we dive into doing the ancestral clearing work, liberating your ancestors, liberating those, doing massive soul retrievals for your people, for you and your people. We do this in a group context. And then we also have a foundations clinic that's included in that, where you learn how to engage and work with energy. And I'm not talking about Reiki or something like that. I'm just talking about moving energy with your intent with another person that is, in another country or continent and stuff like this. So how to do working with the distance kind of thing. And then we also work with encodements. So we'll do a group activation. We'll start meeting our entourage, which is non-human aspects of us. That we can engage with to reinform our subconscious and to heal deep-seated, deep-rooted things and rearrange our light body, like digest new encodements. So different parts of our light body comes online. So I encourage you guys to check that out. That's the kind of work that we're doing. And that's at lightbodyacademy.com. All right. So I will see you guys again next week, Thursday, as always. And if that changes, I'll let you guys know. But until then, I'll see you next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye-bye.